Hi there, Despy here. In our last video, we talked about the Department of Education, and Hakeem Jeffries came up. And I thought, I should probably expose Hakeem Jeffries for the weak, pathetic person that he is, even though he used to be kind of a firebrand when he first started out in Congress. Well, you'd really think that with everything going on in the news right now, Democrats would have all the ammunition they could possibly have to fight against the Republicans. But, it almost feels like they're just kind of rolling over and playing dead. Do you remember like in high school when there was that one kid that used to get beat up a lot? And the Democrats seem to be that one friend that after the beating happens, everything is completely over. They're the one that come over and pick you up and ask you if you're still okay to give them a ride to where they need to go after school, like a true friend. At this point here, they can use all the advice they can get, but I don't think that necessarily Nancy Pelosi or other people are going to be the voice of reason to what they need to do in this current political climate. So let's read on a little bit. Nancy Pelosi privately offered some advice for Hakeem Jeffries as Democrats devolved into bitter infighting over a government funding bill reviled by much of their party. Use your power, she told him in an hour-long sit-down in his office earlier this month, telling Jeffries to flex his muscles with Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and sharpen their party's strategy with a shutdown looming, according to a person briefed on their conversation. I swear the only power they have is to fold. They've been folding since 2018 with the looming government shutdown there. They were in control of the House, and the Republicans blamed them for the shutdown because of how they wanted to change the spending bill under Trump, and they just rolled over and just took it. That's all they did. Their only power is to fold. When congressional Democrats were in power in 2018 and they had the ability to affect the CR, the Republicans blamed them for not passing through the budget and the looming government shutdown. This has literally been their playbook since 2008. So if the Republicans have the power to shut down the government, the Democrats get blamed for not capitulating to them. If Democrats shut down the government with their power, Democrats get blamed for not capitulating to the Republicans. It's because they're not fighting back. It literally is because they're toothless. They refuse to play the Republicans at their own game at this.
Your neutralness. It's a beige alert.
If I don't survive, tell my wife hello.
The role of serving as the House top Democrat under a Republican president is new for Jeffries. Indeed, it was Pelosi, having served as Speaker battling President George W. Bush and also during Trump's first term, who often drove her party's strategy. Now, some of y'all may be too young to remember or really only care about modern politics, but before the 1995 NAFTA bill that was passed through, Democrats' main donors, their large donor groups, were unions, blue-collar workers, and co-ops. They were the ones that consistently gave money to the Democrats because the Democrats used to take and help them. Conversely, Republicans were considered the party of the rich. They were the party of big business. They were the party of corporations. During the George Bush presidency, when Pelosi was Speaker of the House, the Democrats changed their entire strategy from before taking money from unions and taking money from co-ops and blue-collar workers. They changed that entirely to big business. So now all of their political movement was behind helping big business to further get those donations to them. Sure, they still took the union's money and the co-op's money, but did you ever wonder why the Teamsters wouldn't back Kamala in the 2024 election? It's because they had been stabbed in the back by the Democrats before in previous elections.
You worthless, tiny-eared fool. Don't you know the first rule of acquisition?
Yes, brother.
Then say it.
Once you have their money, you never give it back.
Exactly.
So who do you think changed that strategy? Well, it was Tom Daschle, George Mitchell, and can you guess who else? Yes, that's right. Nancy Pelosi herself. The reason why people say Nancy Pelosi was the powerhouse that she was as Speaker of the House was because she was the one that could get the donor money. She was the one that focused all the Democrats to do phone banking, to do all of these different efforts to get the big donor money. That is why she was considered a powerhouse by all news outlets that you've ever heard of. Did she listen to constituents? Not really. But could she get that big money from Silicon Valley? Or could she get that big money from the meat packers? Or could she get that big money from all the financial institutions? You bet your ass she could.
Thank you.
Her phone banking objectives went so hard that in 2016, the Democrats were actually bringing in more big business money, like big business donor money, than the Republicans. Think about that. The party of big business. Now, if your playbook has been serve the rich for 25 fucking years, and then suddenly it's uprooted, and the rich are now taking the service of the Republicans instead, what do you think that their strategy is going to be?
You've got to help us, Doc. We've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas.
Are they going to help their constituents, or are they going to serve the rich? I mean, this is absolutely pathetic. Right now, the Democrats are trying to win back their sugar daddy who's chosen somebody else. Here's the problem. No one's fighting back. Everyone's acknowledging the problem. Everyone's looking at it and saying, yeah, there's definitely a problem here, but nobody has a plan for fighting back. They have concepts of an idea about fighting back, but nobody's fighting back.
Okay, so what we're gonna do? I don't know. What do you want to do? Look, Flaps, first I say what we're gonna do. Then you say, I don't know, what do you want to do? Then I say what we're going to do. You say what you want to do. What we're going to do, what you want. Let's do something. Okay, what do you want to do?
Just listen to the language that they're using here. Try to identify a strategy or solution in these statements. We need to have a strategy, and it can't be surrender, Representative Jared Huffman of California said in an interview. As for Jeffries, he said, I think he understood the moment. We got to show people that we're willing to stand up, said Representative Debbie Dingell of Michigan, adding that Democrats have to be willing to cut waste and fraud, but also defend key government programs. People are scared. They are angry, she said. We have to protect the programs that people rely on. He's never been in a position like this before, said one senior House Democrat member who said Jeffries has had to adjust and has been slow at times to tap into the anger of the Democratic base. Representative Steve Horsford, a Nevada Democrat and longtime leadership ally, was stern, warning DeLauro that the party needed a strong message if the party was willing to go over the edge. As the room grew silent, according to two people who attended the meeting. Not a fucking one. Jeffries didn't even make basic demands for the shutdown. You know, basic demands like reintroducing the funding for the child cancer research that got cut out. A power move would be demand like payroll allocation back to the VA for the veterans that got fired that were a part of the veteran like suicide hotline. And if you want some big dick swinging move, that move would have been allocation of money for things like SNAP, WIC, and Medicaid, and make sure those things were no longer on the chopping block. But instead, we get this. I think the best thing that happened to Jeffries is Schumer bungling this so much. Another Democrat member said, prior to this, there was a lot of unhappiness and rumblings in the caucus about him. So you're saying that the best thing that happened to Hakeem Jeffries was the fact that Schumer fucked up so bad that it makes him look good? Are you out of your fucking mind?
You fucked up.
You know, I like to play a game where it's called like shoe on the other foot. So let's just say this exact same thing happened to Republicans, where you would have Johnson and McConnell. So like, what if Johnson and McConnell had did the exact same things as Hakeem Jeffries and Schumer? Do you think that they would still have their positions in the party?
Nope.
Do you think that they would still be in leadership? Do you think they would still have a political career anywhere afterwards?
Oh, hell no.
If you answered no to any or all of these questions, Democrats should have the exact same standards. But instead, we are left with this. Behind the scenes, talks are already underway between Jeffries and Schumer to align their political strategy on the coming battles against Trump. In his first caucus-wide conversation after Schumer's spending concession to Trump, Jeffries told members he had a frank and honest conversation with the Senate party leader about unity going forward. According to people who listened to the call, he said he disagreed with Schumer's decision to back down from a funding fight with Trump, even though some House Democrats now privately acknowledge that their Senate counterpart probably prevented an even bigger political headache. But he also stresses that in future fights, Democrats need to be united, a cue to end the intra-party fighting. We don't have the luxury of devolving into the fight of who the Senate Democrat leadership will be at this moment, Huffman said. We got to make sure our tactics are better aligned. Unity. Unity? They have been screaming about unity for 2 decades. Where the fuck was unity with Manchin and Sinema? Where the fuck was unity with the parliamentarian? Where the fuck was unity with the Al Green vote? There is no fucking unity anywhere when everyone's out for their own re-elections, their donor money, saving face, and the only thing they care about is punishing progressives. So my 2 cents with this is the same as Sun Tzu. Fight your enemy where they are not. Republicans are scared shitless to hold their own town halls. They're scurrying like fucking cockroaches with high beams on. And the funny thing is, Speaker Mike Johnson told them not to go in the first place. You should have every single member of the Democrat Party put down the phones for those fucking call banks, and they should be holding town halls in every red and purple district that those constituents, their own representative, will not. And sure, you're probably going to be in a hot seat because you're going to be with people that politically probably don't agree with you. But that's okay, because at least they're not going to call you a weak-ass bitch like they would to their own representative, because at least you showed up. I mean, Tim Walz is out there talking to people right now. AOC is out there talking to people right now. Bernie Sanders is out there talking to people out there right now. Ro Khanna is out there talking to people right now. What is the problem? Why can't you do that too? The people want to be heard. And right now, the Republicans are ignoring the shit out of them. The best strategy you could possibly have would be to go and fucking talk to them. So do it. I suggest you do the old school thing where you listen directly to your constituents and then you make policies based on what your constituents' needs are. And if this is not your district, then you need to find somebody in the district that's going to listen to their constituents and then enact the policies for those constituents based on what their needs are. And it can possibly even be a Democrat in a Republican district if that Democrat is listening to the needs of the constituents. This is just wishful thinking, and I'll say it now, but I'll say it later too. The Democrats would find the only losing strategy in a one-piece puzzle, given unlimited time and as many phone of friends as they need. They would still lose. So I just listed a whole bunch of things that I think that they should do to help bring back what they need for the party. Mark my words, they're not going to do a fucking thing. Watch.